All right, shalom, shalom. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh,
Yahweh
Bahashem,
Bahashem
Yahushai,
Yahushai
Bahashem,
Bahashem
Rachakadash.
Rakwadesh.
Want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And want to give a salutation unto the hopeful elect scattered across the four corners of this earth, striving for salvation. This is the brother Yatazak Bob, the GMS Basket Camp. And in this lesson, what we want to get into um, is going into Esau's and the deceitful nature, and pinpointing in on a historical, uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for? An actual historical example of his nature and something that he's doing even to this day. We have to understand that Esau is a man that deals a lot with lying and deceit, you know, and uh, um, and steering the minds of the public in a certain direction. And it's only natural because a lot of Esau's existence is built upon lies. I mean, you look at the Amalekites, their whole thing is built upon lies. You look at Esau calling himself white is built upon lies. All the things that he is pushed upon people, whether it's religion, you know, um, beliefs, all these different things, and what he calls right and wrong, it's all built upon lies. And so he has to keep on stacking lies on top of lies to, so that his house of cards doesn't fall. But um, you know, let's grab let's grab that John chapter 8, verse 44. Unless brothers had a precept, let's get that John.
Uh, John verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, lust of your father he will do.
Salakia, Salakia.
He
Is that
was a
brother cutting out
murderer
for y'all too,
from
or
the
is it just
beginning.
me?
It's thought swap on my end.
Nah, you cutting out. It's like frozen.
Con. I'm not sure what that's about. Could you start that back? Could you start that back at the top, Bab Shad?
Oh yeah, he is frozen now. He was cool at first.
I got you. Which verse was it again? Slacky.
John chapter 8, verse 44. Yeah, I'm gonna text that brother and let him know that he's freezing up.
Okay. All right, we have John 8, verse 44. And it says, Ye are your ye are your father, the devil, and the lust of your fathers ye will do.
Yeah,
He
so this verse was talking to the wicked amongst our nation, and it says ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. And who's being called the devil here is Esau, you know, and that spirit of Esau, because Esau is the physical counterpart of Satan. He is coming on earth to do the bidding of Satan. When we read on, what does it say?
he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there was no truth in him.
Right. And who is that? Who was the first murderer? Cain. And Cain came back in the reincarnation as Esau, and he still has that murderous spirit on him today. As it says that Esau would what live by his sword. Now it says that what he abode not in truth because there's no truth in him. And we see that deceitful nature even, going back to the example of Cain where the Most High came unto him, where's your brother Abel? He's like, I don't know what happened to him, even though he just killed him. You know, but Esau is a deceitful man. Let's read that last part of that verse.
God, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he
Mhm.
is a liar and the father of it.
Yep, he is a liar and the father of it. So Esau deals deep in deceit, and we're going to get into it on how he does that. You know, um, or an example of how he does that because when we were coming up with this lesson, we was going into the propaganda and the different things that Esau pushes, and it's so vast of how much you can talk about that we had to just narrow it down to the foundation of this CIA operation that we're going to go into today. So um, unless brothers had anything, let's read. Can a brother just look up Operation um Mockingbird, like just on off the internet, just see what the AI gives.
Yeah, I got it right here. This is Operation Mockingbird. This is an AI overview. You said you're fine with that, or you want to chat?
No, that's fine.
All right. The AI overview for Operation Mockingbird is an alleged Cold War era CIA campaign that supposedly recruited and subsidized American journalists to publish pro-American propaganda and manipulate domestic public opinion.
hmm
The
So
name,
basically,
so you got
so basically, what the CIA was doing was that they were infiltrating all sorts of news outlets in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And what they would do is that they would like insert journalists that were affiliated with the CIA, or they would pay different journalists, different news reporters, and have them basically reading the script, having them pushing ideas that the CIA wanted to push. So it was basically as if the CIA was on there speaking themselves just through these people, and they was going to all the most popular news outlets and doing this. And so when it came to major events that was happening, when the American people was going and to the news to hear about it, they were getting a a story that was fabricated, but it was painted as the truth, and that's all you were hearing in your newspapers and on TV. And so they basically made their own reality. You know, is there more to that?
yeah, just a little bit. It says the name was popularized by a controversial 1978 book about the Washington Post, though historians debate the true scope of these media ties. It says that originations of this allegation were, like I said, during the Cold War. CIA established extensive covert operations aimed at fighting psychological and ideological battles against the Soviet,
Mhm.
and most notably Frank Wisner. Foreign
Con.
programs often described metaphorically as the mighty Wurlitzer to covertly shape global and domestic opinion. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and again, it was something that was heavy going on heavy during the Cold War, where you had the U.S. versus the Soviet Union, where a lot of their war wasn't through like they didn't directly fight. There was a lot of like alternative forms of war, whether it was proxy wars, but you know, it got to a information war and a psychological war over the people's minds, to where the Soviet Union was pushing their propaganda and America was pushing their propaganda, you know, but we'll get a couple of examples of, how they were using this propaganda, you know, as a matter of fact, um, let's grab that Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15 real fast.
Proverbs 14, 15. So the book of Proverbs, chapter 14, verse 15 says, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going.
Because we have to understand what Esau's doing. That, you know, if he was doing this in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and he was doing this for decades without getting caught, and he's using these televisions to affect people, don't you think he's doing the same thing today, where media has just boomed even more, and how it has so much more influence over the people? Don't you think he's using it on our phones? Don't you think he's using social media to accomplish these very same things? Movies, television, and TV shows. This is why I don't know if, the viewers of this video have seen the video where they'll take news clippings of like 30 different reporters talking about a situation, such as the C-19, for example, and they'll all say the exact same line. That's because they've been given a script to push a certain narrative and have people think in a certain way.
Yeah.
Is the same thing is still happening to this day. Operation Mockingbird has just become larger. You know,
And even through certain forms of music, they will solidify a lot of these things that we see on the media. You know what I'm saying? Like and it'll be real subtle. You know what I'm saying? To the point like you like one of your favorite songs, you know, you in the mode. And then they'll mention something that you're seeing like in like mention like for example 9/11. You know what I'm saying? They mention something of that as and they give their standpoint on it, but the standpoint that they give is the standpoint of what's in the media, opposed to their own personal standpoint. So it's like, well, it gotta be true because they famous, they got this music, you know. So Esau he got his hands on everything as far as pushing out an agenda and pushing out uh, a narrative, you know.
God. Hey, I was gonna say top when that was a people talking about, and after a while, that shit got wiped out of the internet, and you don't those anymore. So like,
Cutting in and out.
So like, can y'all brothers hear him?
No, you kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah, yeah, Kawasha, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but the connection is messed up.
God, I can hear y'all.
Yeah, yeah, we can't hear nothing. It's like real choppy. You know what I'm saying?
They try to cut your Wi-Fi connection off. Sometimes that has an effect. To see if that makes a difference.
They cut it off.
Yeah,
Sometimes that matters.
yeah, he probably gonna have to turn it back on though since he on his
Yeah,
computer.
I'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, Babu Shah, can one of y'all brothers grab the screenshot he sent into the group chat? Or I think yours is cool now, Kawasha.
It's better now.
I think so, yeah. Can you grab that were you about to bring something out?
Oh no, la.
Oh
Okay.
shit! I mean, you can reiterate what you were saying, and it start cutting out as soon as you start talking. No, if you want to bring that out.
Con, yeah, just how they controlling that propaganda, like you were saying, they were having all the reporters on 9/11 saying the same thing. But then the videos of people, like actual witnesses that were saying they heard explosions and things like that, those were scrubbed from the internet. It's very hard to find those now. Like you got to look into these documentaries like Loose Change and stuff, and I don't even think that's on YouTube anymore. I think you got to go to BitChute and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep, I grabbed this precept real fast. Isaiah chapter 32, verse 7, which says, "The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth the wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh aright." So I want to grab a couple definitions in there. When we gonna get the churl, which is the Hebrew word chayalaya, which is a scoundrel or a knave, in the sense of withholding niggardly. And Esau is the biggest niggard, by the way, the biggest selfish POS in the earth, but this person that is describing is talking about Esau, it's talking about the wicked in general. But who does this? Where, they come up with these different instruments to and wicked devices to destroy people with lying words. Well, we talking about who's doing it right now, Esau, right? So what are those instruments? Strong's H3627,
So
which is
yeah,
a
I
go
found
ahead.
some real interesting, man, when it spoke about that churl. And that's a peasant, one of the lowest class of freemen, man without rank. You
Yeah,
know,
and it's
go
it
ahead.
says what that the vilest men have been exalted. It
That's right.
says what that there's servants upon horses, and princes walking as servants on the earth.
Faces of men.
The basis of men is ruling right now. So the Esau is really a peasant. He deserves to be at the bottom, but he's been given an opportunity to rule in the earth, and we see how he's using his rule. You know, being an evil niggard.
Right,
So
that I just found that interesting, brother. But you got it. You got it.
con. And then when you get into the Hebrew for that word instruments, it's the Hebrew word chaylayah, and it says an article, vessel, implement, utensil. an article, an object in general, a utensil, implement, apparatus, vessel. And like the brother you called, he made a great point before the lesson of that word utensil, something being used to accomplish a goal, a object that you're using for something. Well, again, these televisions, these phones, these news sources, this is Esau's instrument by which he uses those lying words to oppress the minds of people, to shut down. Kawashab just said it. You'll have the people that are eyewitness that's seen it with their very eyes, and they'll tell one version of the story, which is true because they was there. But Esau will shut that entire reality down with his instruments of deceit. You know,
I got a precept.
Baba Kasha.
All right, so you got in Psalms 55 and 21, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Yeah,
So
and that's right. And Esau will come with something that sounds real good. He'll come with a story um that pulls at your heartstrings, or it influences you to think a certain way. Because, for example, you have these coups that the CIA orchestrated during Project Mockingbird, and let's get it real fast. Um, with In 1953, you had an Iranian coup where you had they overthrew Mohammed Mossadegh, who was the prime minister of Iran. And um let me see here, and you can go into Operation Ajax, which goes more into that situation. But this was a democratically elected prime minister. By all rules and how America likes things done, he came into his position of power and the right way. He did something that wasn't in the interest of the West. And so now they come with this whole narrative of, the same thing that happened with Maduro today. Oh, he's pushing drugs into our country. Oh, he's being a tyrant over his people. You know, when you go to the people that's actually in that country, they're not even making that big a deal of it as America is. You know, the same thing they did with Osama bin Laden, the same thing they did with Gaddafi. You know, once you start to trample on U.S. interests, there go that mouthpiece. And that's why it's no surprise that in Daniel, when it's talking about America and Daniel's vision, it says that it had a mouth speaking great things. Because that mouthpiece of the U.S. is one of is a major aspects of it. That it uses. To push its lies and deceit. You know, the brothers have anything before we move on?
wow.
Uh,
Yeah, and I want to as well mention that Isaiah chapter 32, verse 7, where it says, he devised wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. Eventually, that's going to apply to us who are in this truth, us prophets, because we're speaking the truth, we're speaking right, and what it's doing is that it's exposing Esau.
mhm.
That's why you had that Amalekite woman that said what? That the biggest threat to Israel today are young black men in America. Yet they're in a whole war right now. And young black men in America, all the way across the globe, is the biggest threat to them. Why would she mention that? Because she's talking about this truth that we're bringing out, because we're exposing them for we're exposing their lies. We're exposing them as the imposters that they are. And so eventually there's going to be a psychological operation that's brought against us, you know, to um to make us seem like we're evil. There's going to be a psyop against us to make it seem like the things that we're speaking are baseless, you know. But yeah, we can get into that screenshot that you sent, uh Kawashab, where it's talking about that Mockingbird comparison.
Done. Con, I'm gonna pull it up here. Let's see here. Con, it says mockingbirds are named for their remarkable ability to mimic the sound of other animals and even mechanical noises. And then just kind of scrolling down on the AI overview, of why they named it Mockingbird. And, it says number two, why the metaphor fits. Um, it says the Mockingbird was chosen as the perfect metaphor for the CIA's media operation for several reasons. Repeating a program tune. Just as a mockingbird copies the repeats sounds it hears from other sources, the
Dang, man, he's cutting out again.
government deception through. Oh, damn, it's doing it again.
Yeah,
Shit.
it just started.
Let
It's
me
it's
try
back good
something.
now. Can you just back it up like a couple lines from what you was reading? I think it's good now.
God, one of y'all brothers want to read it since
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
you
yeah. I want your call. You can read it, Bubble Shut.
So like, yeah, I had to step out for a second, brothers. Where we at right now?
It's all good. I'll read it real fast. Because I got it right here. Where it's going into that metaphor with the mockingbird. And it says why the metaphor fits, and it says it repeats a program tune. Just as a mockingbird copies and repeats sounds it hears from other sources, the journalists recruited by the CIA were used to repeat narratives, scripts, and information fed to them by the government. You know, Baba Gashaka, when the Yard Brothers hold that Psalm 64, verse 2.
Yep, con.
And Kabashab, you looking good now too.
okay, it's better now.
And you can get into it as well if you'd like. You know what I'm saying? I know it's your information you sent, so if you wanted to bring anything out on it, Baba Gashab, let me know. Says says deception through authenticity. A mockingbird mimics other birds so perfectly that it easily fools its listeners. Similarly, the CIA wanted the propaganda to come out of the mouths of the respected, independent American journalists so that the public would accept it as authentic, unbiased news. And that's very interesting there, because again, it's coming through respected sources. It's coming through voices that people trust, and again, in this modern era, people are getting their news through social media. People are getting their news uh, uh through these phones, which people are basically like we live, with our phones always at our side. So it's easy to infiltrate the minds of people now. That's why the scriptures say the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. We have to understand Esau and what he's doing. That's why the scriptures say be not ignorant of Satan's devices, so that we're not fooled by these things. We have to make sure that we're always looking with a spiritual eye, that we're prayed up, so that Yahweh Bashim Shai allows us to see through all these lies and deceits that Esau pushes. That's why when things be happening in the news, we be our nose automatically be turned up to it. You was just mentioning it before the lesson, Kawashai, with that Ukrainian girl on the bus, and we like, why that blood coming out like that? Because
Yeah,
we know
she just like,
yeah, then just falls over.
yeah, like what? Nah.
Because
No,
we
like you got, you got.
go ahead, bro.
Yeah, because I was going to even say, like nowadays, like even to add on to what you were saying, like as far as not being ignorant to his devices, uh, us as adults, and especially men in the Lord, have to be paying attention to these things because nowadays a lot of these kids, they're walking around with phones and they're walking around with tablets and they're on these different apps and they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing. You know what I'm saying? Some of them might be a little bit more minute, but it's still pointing towards the same narrative. So to be able to know what the hell they're seeing on these apps, that's why it's not good for really kids, younger kids especially, which it happens. We it happens where they're being like TikTok and things where they actually push so-called real news. You know what I'm saying? So even the kids are seeing this shit now. You know, they're being programmed to believe, oh, what a. Because I had my son come ask me questions before, about certain things they see in the media. You know what I'm saying? a lot of times like about celebrities and those things that they're saying, but sometimes it's about actual news. And it's like you had to really go and check and like the elder brothers have been saying in camp lately, quantifying things and going to double check and triple check because once these kids start believing it, kids don't forget shit. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be on top of that and make sure that everything that they're seeing is valid or just completely keep them away from whatever source because we're not around them 24/7, right? So this Esau is what's say Bible shop. May I get a quick precept?
Of course, good. Go ahead, Doc.
In the book of Psalms, I gotta pull it up. And the book of it says that the heart searcheth deep, right? What is it? Psalms. I believe it's the same chapter that you want anyway. Psalm 64. Yeah, I just get it. Psalm 64 and verse 6. It says they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. And that goes with that's on a myriad of levels what Esau does. Esau does his research. Esau is not a dumbass. He knows what gets the people going. He knows how to get everybody to believe one thing. He knows he's a mastermind of wickedness. You know what I'm saying, to make it appear as righteousness. Okay, so but I really want to bring this out on the sense of how they're not only working on the minds of the adults, they're working on the minds of the children too, and they know how to do it in such a fashion to where it's like almost harmful. You know what I'm saying, or almost doesn't appear like it causes any damage, but it really psychologically fucks people up. Esau knows what he's doing, man.
Huh.
You know? But yep, that's it. That's all, brother. I still got that precept unlocked for you.
God, and the thing is, you was about to say something, Kyle Shot?
I was thinking like it's also goes hand in hand with that Babylon wine, because I know during this period of Operation Mockingbird, they were pushing a lot of that propaganda in foreign countries to make America look good. Um, one example that comes to mind real quick, along with the Soviet uh anti-Soviet propaganda like Animal Farm. That was a movie from 1954 that was CIA backed. It made them look oppressive, over there in Russia and so on and so forth. Just like another example of, how Esau is spreading his propaganda. Like also you got We Will Bury You, the documentary from 1962. And that's pretty much it. That's all I was gonna say.
Well, it's even showing that even all the way back then they was using movies and documentaries to push ideas, and they're doing that same thing today. When we look on it, like the CIA funds, shoot, the elder brought out how like the army funds certain movies and stuff like that to get people in a like in the spirit of like that American power. You know what I'm saying? They fund Top Gun, and have people thinking a certain way. The CIA funds certain movies, to have people thinking a certain way, just like, with Animal Farm, like you were saying. So if they was doing it back then, my point is they was doing it back then. They're definitely doing it today and at an even higher clip. That's why they put homosexuality in damn near every single TV show that you watch to get that shit normalized. And it is normal now. And it's gonna get even worse to where now they got trannies damn near in everything that you watch. And it's conditioning people, you know, and it's an easy way to do it because everybody's watching the shit. Um, I wanted to mention, I grabbed this precept real fast in Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. It says, "These six things doth the Lord Yahweh hate, yea, seven are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren." And as you see, when it's talking about the things that the Most High hates, most of those things that's mentioned are is deceitful nature. And this is just one reason, reasons among many why the Most High is going to come back to destroy Esau and take him down out of power. Because this is the man that's leading the earth right now, and he's walking in all these manners that's detestable unto the Most High, spreading all these lies. The Most High deals in justice. The Most High deals in fairness. He deals in honesty. He deals in truth. And he's near unto those that are in that spirit. But that's not what Esau is walking in. So we're gonna see Esau's fall is warranted. Baba Gashad, Ritazwan, can you grab that Psalm chapter 64?
Huh.
You can start at verse 2.
All right. Psalm 64, verse 2. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from insurrection of the workers of iniquity,
Hmm.
who whet their tongues like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words.
And it's showing right there, that these lies are like weapons. You know, because again, like as we mentioned earlier, these are war techniques. And Esau has made it to where war is bigger than just um, weapons and direct fighting. Information is a weapon now. You know, but yeah, we can read on.
Um, they that may shoot in the secret, uh, they that may shoot in the secret, yeah, in secret at the perfect, suddenly do shoot at him, and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commute with of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search.
Hmm. Yeah, because they're doing these things in secret and they don't think they'll ever get found out. And the thing is, their own tongue fell upon them. Because the government created the church committee, which did a search into these CIA operations and blew up the whole thing and showed. And this is how we know direct evidence that these things happened of Operation Mockingbird because of the church committee and even whistleblowers come out and expose the different evil things that Esau be doing. But what we know is that the Most High sees everything Esau is doing, every single detail. Even things that we don't know behind closed doors. The Most High sees it all. And but they think that they all good, that they just hiding all this and they just moving, stealthily. But nah, let's read on.
They search out iniquity. They search out iniquities. They accomplish diligent search, both inward thought and every one of them, and the heart is deep.
Hmm. Let's read these last couple verses.
But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly they shall be wounded. So they shall, so they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away.
So it says the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. And they're going to receive a wound that they cannot heal from, which is going to be the destruction of their rulership. And this whole um you know web that Esau has created is going to be knocked down in one fell swoop. You know, uh, So let's get Proverbs chapter 12 verse 19. Bakbusha.
That's the spirit. Yeah, she's moving slow. But so the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, and verse 19, it says, the lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment.
So it says the lip of truth shall be established forever. And when the nation of Israel is brought up into power, we're going to have an eternal kingdom. We're going to rule in truth. We're going to rule in honesty. And like as I was saying, before the lesson, like when Yahushua comes back to, to take the kingdom, and when we're brought into our kingdom, We're not going to have to lie or spread propaganda about it to justify it because the proof is going to be in the pudding on why we need to be empowered because the earth is going to be on point. There's not going to be no more evil. There's going to be peace. We're not going to have to show to lie and be like, and come up with a reason for people to want to see us in power. People are going to appreciate that we're in power. While Esau has to come up with all these reasons why he has to do this and do that because he knows that there's no justice within it.
Yeah,
And he knows that if he did all his things blatantly and out in the open, people would revolt. Even while the lies that Esau is pushing, people are on the brink of revolting and rising up against him. But it says, well, a lying tongue is but for a moment, because eventually, everything is going to be brought to the light. Like I mentioned earlier, when you lie, to defend that lie, you have to lie again. You have to lie again after that. You have to keep on lying, and that's an unstable foundation.
yeah. And that's why I say, you hear. Now I agree with like elders say, man, Esau getting sloppy. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you forget some of these lies you told, nigga, but we paying attention, especially once it's on the internet. Once you put something out there on the internet, whether it's a video, whether it's a narrative, people don't forget. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Especially when you decide down the line, maybe a year or two, maybe months, whatever, and it's conflicting with what you originally came out with. Like, all right, man, this nigga getting sloppy now, bro. He don't even remember what he said before. You
Yeah,
know
and,
what
and
I'm
that's
saying?
why, Salaki, bro.
You
I was
got
gonna say this social media aspect of it is beautiful because now people are taking the power into their own hands and using this information war and bringing in their own information and bringing truth into it. Such as I always mention the great noticing where everybody's saying, man, look at these J-ish people. This, and showing how evil they are, showing how they own everything, you know, exposing them for, being liars and this is the Most High's children. Like even regular people are asking that question. You got truth about 9/11 all over Instagram. Truth about the C-19, you know, uh uh, uh pandemic, and how that came about and it's basically everybody is not everybody, but a lot of people are exposing Esau for the very same thing we talking about, how he has nefarious um schemes behind all these things he's pushing. So this internet, like it says, their own tongue shall fall upon them. The internet is biting Esau in his ass and he created it.
a quick reset for you. Out.
Con.
Um, it's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49 and verse 10. But I have made Esau a bear. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled in his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not.
Mhm.
So just like just land backing off what you were saying, it's to the point where the Most High, even will, even Isaiah 47, goes hand in hand with the same precept in Isaiah 40. I mean Jeremiah 49, because it says that what it says to uncover the thigh, lift up the skirt. Is what exposing what Esau Edom is really behind the scenes doing, and but he has so great of a grip on this social media that he can still fool some. He can still fool some if he pushes certain algorithms on these social media platforms. Like a perfect example, saying that they were doing damage over there in Iran, saying that they were winning. But here it is, Iran with the lesser war, uh, um, not combat, but as far as artillery, here it is that they giving you hell, but you acting like you just dominating. But if you pushing that narrative out there enough, some people will believe it, but the people who are really watching, they're like, man, hell no, you ain't, bro. you ain't doing nothing to them folks like that. You know what I'm saying? They talking greasy too. They saying what? No U.S. Soldier will return alive. That's how Iran's talking. So somebody's lying, and we know that Trump, he's a fucking blatant liar, man. You know, so but that's just propaganda, just but once again, just getting back to the point of the precept, you've been made bare. You've been exposed, man. All right. You can't hide it. But yeah, you got it out.
Yeah, so and in this lesson we just want to get into that the Operation Mockingbird and just show real life evidence and public information on Esau's nature and how he gets down. We can't always trust these news sources. We rarely can trust these news sources, because it's compromised and the news is used to push the minds in a certain way, and we just wanted to get into that and show Esau's nature of his deceit. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. The brothers have any other points before we close out?
Uh,
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 Uh, Hey, so yeah, with that being said, once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS and salutation unto the elect. Shalom.
so